Welcome to History Explained, where we illuminate the past to better understand our present. I'm your guide to your daily journey through the past to empower the future. Today is Friday, June 27, 2025. As we do every Friday, we're exploring a significant economic milestone that shaped our understanding of markets and human behavior. Today, we turn our attention to the Dutch Tulip Mania of the 1630s, one of history's first recorded speculative bubbles. This extraordinary episode saw tulip bulb prices in the Netherlands reach astronomical levels before collapsing dramatically, creating fortunes and destroying lives while providing enduring lessons about market psychology and speculative excess. What makes tulip mania particularly fascinating is how it demonstrates the power of speculation to disconnect asset prices from intrinsic value, creating patterns of boom and bust that continue to characterize financial markets today. This 17th century crisis offers timeless insights into human nature and economic behavior. So let's explore this remarkable chapter in economic history, examining how tulips became objects of speculation, the social and economic forces that drove the bubble, the dramatic collapse that followed, and the lasting lessons it provides about markets and human psychology. To understand tulip mania, we must first examine the unique economic and social conditions of the Dutch Republic in the early 17th century. The Netherlands had recently achieved independence from Spain and was experiencing unprecedented prosperity through maritime trade, banking, and colonial expansion. Dutch merchants had established trading networks spanning from the Baltic to the East Indies, accumulating wealth that created a prosperous middle class eager to display their success through luxury goods. This newly wealthy merchant class sought status symbols that would demonstrate their prosperity and sophistication. Tulips arrived in Europe from the Ottoman Empire in the mid-16th century, initially cultivated by botanists and wealthy collectors fascinated by their exotic beauty and unusual characteristics. The flowers became particularly popular in the Netherlands, where the climate proved suitable for cultivation. What made tulips especially valuable was their unpredictability. The most prized varieties featured dramatic color patterns called breaks, which were actually caused by a virus that weakened the bulb. These infected bulbs produced flowers with striking striped or flamed patterns but were difficult to reproduce reliably. The rarity and beauty of these broken tulips created a collector's market among wealthy Dutch citizens. Tulip gardens became symbols of status and taste, while rare varieties commanded high prices from enthusiasts eager to possess unique specimens. The speculative bubble began to develop in the 1620s as tulip trading expanded beyond hobbyist collectors to include professional traders and ordinary citizens seeking quick profits. The market transformed from one based on actual flowers to one focused on paper contracts for future delivery of bulbs. This futures market allowed speculation to flourish because traders could buy and sell contracts without ever handling actual tulips. The system enabled leverage, as buyers could purchase expensive bulbs with small down payments, planning to resell before delivery was required. Tulip prices began rising steadily through the early 1630s, but the mania truly exploded in 1636 when prices increased exponentially. The most expensive varieties reached astronomical levels. A single Semper Augustus bulb reportedly sold for 10,000 guilders, enough to buy a grand house in Amsterdam. Common varieties also saw dramatic price increases. Bulbs that had sold for modest amounts suddenly commanded prices equivalent to skilled craftsmen's annual wages. The speculation drew participants from all levels of Dutch society, from wealthy merchants to artisans and servants. The trading process became increasingly sophisticated. Tulip markets operated in taverns and inns, where traders gathered to buy and sell contracts. The system developed its own vocabulary, rules, and customs, resembling modern commodity exchanges in many respects. Professional tulip traders emerged, some of whom never actually grew or owned tulips but simply traded contracts for profit. These speculators developed techniques for manipulating prices and created elaborate schemes to attract new buyers into the market. The social impact was significant. Successful tulip traders gained enormous wealth and social status, while the prospect of easy profits attracted people from diverse backgrounds. Stories circulated of servants and laborers becoming wealthy through clever tulip investments, encouraging more speculation. However, the market also created significant tensions. Traditional Dutch values emphasized hard work, thrift, and religious devotion, while tulip speculation seemed to reward gambling and greed. Critics condemned the mania as morally corrupting and economically dangerous. The bubble's peak came in early February 1637, when prices reached their highest levels. A pound of Witt Krunen bulbs sold for 1,668 guilders, while other varieties commanded similarly extraordinary prices. The total value of tulip contracts may have approached the annual economic output of entire provinces. The collapse came suddenly and dramatically. On February 3, 1637, at a tulip auction in Haarlem, buyers failed to appear for what had been routine trading sessions. Confidence evaporated almost instantly as traders realized that prices had become completely disconnected from any rational valuation. Within days, tulip prices plummeted by 95% or more. Bulbs that had sold for thousands of guilders became virtually worthless overnight. The speed and severity of the collapse shocked contemporaries and left thousands of speculators facing financial ruin. The aftermath was chaotic and bitter. Courts were flooded with lawsuits as buyers refused to honor contracts signed at bubble prices. The Dutch government struggled to resolve the crisis, eventually declaring that most tulip contracts signed after November 1636 would be treated as gambling debts rather than legitimate commercial agreements. Many participants lost their life savings and faced bankruptcy. Some committed suicide rather than face disgrace and poverty. The social fabric of many communities was strained as neighbors, friends, and family members found themselves on opposite sides of failed tulip deals. However, the broader Dutch economy proved surprisingly resilient. While individuals suffered greatly, the overall impact on commerce, shipping, and manufacturing was limited. The tulip trade represented only a small fraction of the Dutch economy's total activity. The lessons of tulip mania have resonated through subsequent centuries. The episode demonstrated how speculation can create acid bubbles that bear no relationship to underlying economic fundamentals. It showed how collective psychology can drive prices to irrational levels before reality reasserts itself. Modern economists study tulip mania as an early example of market failure and the dangers of speculative excess. The episode illustrates how innovative financial instruments, like the futures contracts used in tulip trading, can amplify both gains and losses while increasing systemic risk. The social dynamics of the bubble also provide insights into human behavior under extreme conditions. The mania showed how greed and fear of missing out can overcome rational judgment, leading people to make decisions they would normally consider foolish. Tulip mania established patterns that recur in later speculative bubbles, from the South Sea bubble of 1720 to the dot-com boom of the 1990s and the housing bubble of the 2000s. Each episode shares common characteristics: initial rational investment, growing speculation, media attention, broad public participation, and eventual collapse. The Dutch experience also highlighted the importance of regulation and institutional frameworks in financial markets. The lack of proper oversight and dispute resolution mechanisms amplified the crisis's impact and complicated recovery efforts. Critics argue that some accounts of tulip mania have been exaggerated over time, suggesting that the bubble's scope and impact may have been smaller than commonly believed. However, even revised estimates confirm that significant speculation occurred and that many individuals suffered substantial losses. The cultural legacy of tulip mania extends beyond economics into literature, art, and popular culture. The episode has inspired numerous books, films, and artistic works exploring themes of greed, delusion, and the human capacity for self-deception. Modern financial markets incorporate lessons learned from tulip mania and subsequent bubbles. Regulatory frameworks, margin requirements, and disclosure rules aim to prevent the kind of unchecked speculation that characterized the tulip trade. However, speculative bubbles continue to occur despite these safeguards, suggesting that the psychological factors driving tulip mania remain relevant today. The episode reminds us that market participants can still fall victim to collective delusions and that prices can diverge dramatically from fundamental values. The Dutch tulip mania stands as a timeless cautionary tale about the dangers of speculative excess and the importance of maintaining perspective during periods of market euphoria. It demonstrates how quickly fortunes can be made and lost when speculation replaces rational investment. As we navigate contemporary financial markets, the lessons of tulip mania remain relevant, reminding us to maintain healthy skepticism about get-rich-quick schemes and to remember that sustainable wealth creation typically requires patience, hard work, and sound judgment rather than speculation and luck. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of the Dutch Tulip Mania. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our military history episode examining the Siege of Vienna in 1683 and its crucial role in halting Ottoman expansion into Europe. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. What parallels do you see between tulip mania and modern financial bubbles? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, I'm your guide for History Explained, where we believe that understanding yesterday is the key to navigating tomorrow.